Hi, I'm David,
I'm Danny.
and this is our garden tour for Metro Meadows.
We're farming in Central Texas, and right now it's the end of April. It's about to be May in a couple days, and we just wanted to show you guys what our spring garden is looking like.
Okay, so come and check it out with us.
Metro Meadows is committed to responsible land stewardship, and we hope to inspire others to become more curious about the natural world around them. Our focus is on transforming underutilized urban spaces, like lawns and curb strips, and converting them into beautiful and functional pollinator gardens. Our slogan, Grow Food, Grow Community, includes human and non-human communities. We recognize that thriving ecosystems depend on all living beings, from the microbes in the soil to insects big and small. We thank you for being here, and now back to the video. Okay, so this garden tour is mainly going to be featuring our vegetable garden. Stay tuned in later videos to see our native pollinator gardens, as well as our fruit trees and other fruiting plants. All right, starting it off, we're going to be looking at our first bed. In this bed, I've planted in corn. So this is our first year growing corn, and the variety we chose is called Luther Hill Sweet Corn. It's an heirloom variety adapted from the Appalachian foothills of America. I chose this variety because it's a dwarf variety, so it will only grow to about 5.5 feet tall, which is perfect for a home growing situation. Each stalk will produce 2 ears of 6-inch size corns, and this corn is known for being really sweet and being white in color. Right now the tassels are just beginning to form. And although it is an open pollinated variety, I will probably come in and hand pollinate just to help it out.
So this here is our melon patch slash cucumber patch. We have our sugar cube cantaloupes here. These ones are personal, like softball size cantaloupes. And then we have our sugar baby watermelons here, all personal size. So they fit nicely inside of a fridge. And then we have our Persian snacking cucumbers here that we'll use for salads and stuff. We're kind of breaking the barrier for spacing, because generally you would put these like in a mound 4 feet apart because they'll run wild. But in this case, since we're trellising everything up, we added a lot of compost for these rows. We're kind of putting them about 18 inches apart roughly. And these beds are 7 feet long by 30-inch wide, all set up with drip irrigation. So they should have a decent amount of space. This is our first time growing this in our little front yard micro garden. So we're gonna find out how everything is, and that's why we chose these varieties. They were like personal size, smaller size, to kind of fit our needs. Yeah.
Okay, so in our next 2 beds, I'm going to be talking about our tomatoes and our peppers. But first I want to talk a little bit about the seed that we chose to grow here in this garden. So the corn, the tomato, and the peppers are all heirloom varieties from small farmers. So this tomato is called the Honeydrop cherry tomato. You can compare it similarly to the Sundrop. However, this variety is more hardy against cracking in wetter environments. This seed was actually bred by a couple from Crabapple Farms in Massachusetts. And yeah, we just really want to support non-GMO seeds keeping heirloom varieties alive and well for the future generations to come. So this Honeydrop cherry tomato produces like honey yellow colored tomatoes. They're very, very, very sweet. And in fact, right now, these tomato plants are growing a little bit unruly. So I actually have some cages in my room that I need to assemble and install later today for these fellas. But we have 8 of these plants growing here in this bed. Next here we have the Klari cheese pepper, or the Klari cheese sweet pepper. This plant was introduced to the Americas from Hungary, and this pepper is named after the woman who has kept this heirloom seed variety alive for like the past 100 years. Yeah, so this seed stock came from a woman named Klari who openly sold it to other seed farmers to sell and reproduce. But this pepper is similar to a bell pepper. It's actually also called the golden apple sweet delicious pepper. So it's kind of similar to an apple in shape and also taste. It's yellow and also really, really sweet. So this is my first time growing this pepper, and I'm really excited to see how it goes. These were all started and planted at the same time, but you can see some of the plants, like these for example, are doing a lot better than the ones in the front that appear to be a little bit stunted. So we'll kind of see how this continues to develop throughout the season. Yep.
Okay, so this beautiful patch here is our squash patch. We have about 6 squash plants in total in this 7-foot row. We have our Black Beauty zucchini, and then we have our yellow chiffon squash, kind of like a yellow squash that you see at the supermarket. And these are doing fantastic, I would say. They're pushing out a lot of growth. They're pushing out a lot of squash. And we planted these really, really early because last year we struggled growing squash because of the squash vine borer. And the squash vine borer kind of starts to show himself in like early summer to late summer. So we had no success growing squash last year. But this year we planted it early, and it got a lot of growth, and now it's already pushing out fruit for us. So I'll show you what this one looks like. All right, I'm just gonna cut one off for you guys. Oh, dang. Okay. So, beautiful yellow squash. And you kind of want to harvest them when they're small, not when they're like really big that you would see them at the supermarket, because they push out a lot more. So, and they're a little bit more buttery, a little bit more soft. So they're really nice to just cook up on a skillet with some eggs or whatever you're making. And they're really nice. You can see this squash. Squashes can sometimes have like these little white variegations on their leaves. This is just a pigment variegation on here. This is natural, that happens in squash, where it doesn't have like chlorophyll in some spots. It can be mistaken for powdery mildew, but it's not. With a good garden eye, you should know the difference between the two. And then I do hand pollinate these. I just want to make sure, though I am seeing a lot of bees, because we kind of changed it up this year and added a native pollinator garden, planted more flowers. As you see, we have this yarrow, which is a native plant flowering right next to it that attracts a lot of like little bees and some pollinating flies. But I do hand pollinate it just because I want to make sure we get every little squash that we can get out of here. Even though this thing is like producing like crazy, and we probably have like maybe 6 or 7 of these already inside that we haven't even eaten yet, and it's pushing out like 6 more. So yeah, we need to start eating more of these.
Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk about today is located on our south end of our veggie garden. We're kind of more into like our berry bramble area now. We have our strawberries. We also have blackberries and cherries growing in this part of the garden. But featuring our strawberries here, I honestly don't remember what varieties these are. And we have a chamomile plant growing right in the middle. These are doing awesome. They're already starting to push out a bunch of little fruits. Let me see if I can find one. There's one big one right here. But yeah, each plant has a bunch of these little fruit shoots coming out, and I expect in the next couple weeks we'll probably have our first harvest. Yeah, not much to say about strawberries. Really exciting. First, I've attempted to grow strawberries before in the past, but this is the furthest I've gone with them, and really excited to get our first harvest. Stay tuned. Okay, so thanks for watching all the way to the end of our garden tour video. If you like our content and if you'd like to continue to see how our garden develops throughout the season, make sure to follow, subscribe, click like, all that stuff for more. And thanks for watching Metro Meadows.